What's going on, guys? I'm Zach from the Lumios Post, where we talk about all things Pokemon. And, well, a while back, I did a video on how I believe that Mega Evolution is tied to paradoxes in a certain way. And, it did pretty well. I mean, I am not just saying the views on it did very good. It's my most viewed video of all time, but I also am most proud of that video, and not just because of the views. I feel like it's a very good case, and because I'm so passionate about that theory, I wanted to revisit it. So let's get into it. What I'm saying here is that Mega Evolution is an evolution that occurs in a Pokemon using DNA from an ancient ancestor, using primal ancient DNA that is latent in the Pokemon. So take Salamence, for example, because he's the easiest one to use, because he has a Mega Evolution, and he has a past paradox, which is an ancestor. So Salamence has latent DNA from Roaring Moon. So when I Mega Evolve my Salamence, he is evolving, but by accessing those latent traits, which is why Mega Salamence looks so similar to Roaring Moon. So what this would mean is that if you look at all the Mega Evolutions, you would be able to kind of get an idea of what that Pokemon's primal ancient form looks like. So, for example, Lucario, we see Mega Lucario, we know what it looks like, so chances are some of these traits are very much at play with whatever Lucario evolved from. And I don't mean Riolu, I mean long-term macro evolution, I'm talking about its ancestor, right? It probably had, like, the whole dreads thing going and the, like, red pulses through its body. So, pretty simple, standard stuff. However, there's some stuff I want to talk about with this. So, some questions that pop up from this is, okay, well, what the heck is going on with Charizard? Because Charizard gets 2 Mega Evolutions. What's happening there? Well, that's a great question. So, there's a couple of options here. So, first off, it could be as simple as Charizard just had 2 ancestors that were completely different, that it has the traits of still in it, and can now access one to become Mega Charizard X, and another one to become Mega Charizard Y. This could be 2 completely different ancestors in the sense of different Pokemon completely, or it could be different ancestors in the sense of regional forms. So like Mega Charizard X, whatever ancestor it's pulling from was a Pokemon that only lived in caves and volcanoes and stuff, while Mega Charizard Y, what ancestor it's pulling from, only lived in forests and more open spaces like valleys and stuff. Or it could be as simple as this is actually just a gender thing, that whatever Charizard evolved from had a gender difference, and maybe even a different type based off gender, and it's pulling from one to become Mega Charizard X, and it's pulling from the other gender to become Mega Charizard Y. So that's a very simple explainer for that. Now, Mewtwo is another Pokemon that has a Mega Evolution and then has another Mega Evolution. So what's going on there? And that one's even harder to explain because Mewtwo doesn't have an ancestor per se. It has a just something that it was cloned from. It's man-made. Well, there's a couple options here, too, that a bunch of you in the comments of my original video proposed that I really, really like. So, first is that if you look at the manga and Pokemon Adventures, it is stated that Mewtwo has both Mew DNA and human DNA, specifically that of Blaine's. Now, maybe that's true in the video games, maybe it isn't. I mean, the manga definitely kind of goes off book in terms of its Pokemon lore, like every single freaking character from Kanto is like really evil in the Adventures manga, so, it's not the most canonically accurate thing. But maybe this is true, and if it is, then that would mean that Mega Mewtwo Y is probably pulling from Mewtwo's Mew DNA that is latent in it, whereas Mega Mewtwo X is pulling from its human DNA that's latent in it. Or another solution to this would just simply be that, well, Mew is kind of the ancestor to every single Pokemon, so its DNA potential is limitless, so it makes sense that its clone would have latent DNA that you're not seeing in the base design of Mewtwo that it's bringing out in Mega Mewtwo X, and it has enough to give you another option with Mega Mewtwo Y. So pretty simple stuff there. Now, how does Primal Reversion tie into this? Well, Primal Reversion is not Mega Evolution, but it certainly functions very similarly, wouldn't you agree? And what this is you can compare it side by side to Mega Evolution. Kyogre and Groudon can Primal Revert. They are the only Pokemon that we currently know that can Primal Revert. And what this is it is Kyogre or Groudon completely reverting, it's right there in the name, to their primal state, to their primal Kyogre and primal Groudon. Well, on the other hand, Mega Evolution, such as Rayquaza, it is there in the name again. It's evolution. It is furthering the evolutionary progression of Rayquaza. But I'd argue that it's doing this through the use of ancient DNA. So that's the reason why Mega Salamence and Roaring Moon look so similar, but not identical, is because Mega Salamence is indeed an evolutionary progression in the Salamence line, but it's a progression accessed through Salamence accessing its ancient primal DNA. This would also explain why Mega Pokemon kind of go through a lot of pain and can even kind of go berserk from Mega Evolving. You know, the pain could come from it is accessing traits that are supposed to be dormant. It got rid of those a long time ago because it needed to get rid of them for its evolutionary progression. Yet, here they are coming back out. I mean, Glalie has to freaking break its jaw. This would also explain why Pokemon like Lucario, it's shown in the anime when it Mega Evolves, it can sometimes be really hard to control and can go berserk. It's because it just unloaded a ton of primal energy into itself to evolve further. I mean, that doesn't sound fun, guys. I mean, seriously, put yourself in Lucario's shoes. F in the chat for Lucario. Now, this is also shown in Aerodactyl's dex entry, Mega Aerodactyl's specifically. It talks about how Aerodactyl is actually this is not a complete restoration, right? We know that about the fossil Pokemon. It's probably why they all, with the exception of the Galar fossils, have the rock typing. Aerodactyl is not truly what Aerodactyl looked like in the past. It's a restoration of a fossil, trying to bring it back as best we can. Think about how in Jurassic Park, to kind of revive the dinosaurs, they had to use DNA from other animals too, to, you know, bring it completely out, because they can't do a full restoration from a fossil. They need to use some modern day stuff too. Well, Mega Aerodactyl, it's Aerodactyl taking its ancient primal DNA and evolving further with it. So, of course, it's going to adapt some traits that probably are very close to what the original ancestor of Aerodactyl looked like. So, yeah, I mean, this is absolutely crazy. Another Pokemon I feel really illustrates this is actually the Lotties, Latios and Latias. These Pokemon, their Mega Evolutions are, like, nearly identical, let alone, like, for size. They're both these purple, again, like, identical Pokemon. And I think the reason why this is probably because they both evolved from the same Pokemon. That Pokemon just, over time, became two different, like, gender variants, you know? So it developed specific traits for each gender. You know, this could be to attract a mate. This could be because they started to differ the roles between genders in the Lottie family. But either way, it seems that they did undergo this. And it also makes sense, too, when you look at the fact that their Megas are purple, which is created by combining red or blue. So it was a purple Pokemon that over time evolved to have a blue form and a red form. And so both those Pokemon, since they share a common ancestor, access a purple look when they Mega Evolve, because again, it's all just them accessing genes from its ancient ancestor. I do think that Game Freak wants us to think this way because they make a point to, in Mega Salamence's, or excuse me, Roaring Moon's Dex entry and Pokemon Violet, as well as its information we're given from the Occulture books, which of course are all speculative. It says that it resembles a phenomenon that occurs in another region, clearly referencing Mega Evolution. So these Occulture books are saying, hey, this thing might be tied to Mega Evolution. And maybe that's true, maybe it's not, because these books are clearly just supposed to be like, your typical paranormal, like, oh, it was aliens every time that a jet flies above type of people. But I think Game Freak that was their way of getting us to look at this and think Mega Evolution. They want us to look at Roaring Moon and think Mega Evolution. And so, in a way, I would say that Occulture is right about this. I do think that Roaring Moon, its DNA is used for Salamence to evolve into Mega Salamence. But yeah, let me know what you think of this in the comments below. If you have anything additional you'd like to add to this theory, then do it, please, by all means. I think that's something super fun about this, is it's kind of like in the real world when we have scientists present something and other scientists will kind of build off it or add things to it. It's so cool to see us doing that over a video game. I love it. Be sure to also like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss all of our future Pokemon Theory videos. And of course, be sure to check out that initial theory video if you would like to do that, because I do think it's a good one, and it seems a lot of you thought it too, and I thank you for that. Until next time, I will see all of you later.